What's going on, everyone? It's Dr. Mina B, and today I want to talk to you guys about the miracle mineral. Now, this is not a nickname that I gave it, or it's a part of a marketing gimmick or something like that. It's actually really earned that reputation as the miracle mineral because it is required and essential for every biochemical process in the human body. And so we see that it affects things such as your heart, blood pressure, bone health, mood, digestion, ability to handle stress, sleep cycle, you name it, it will affect it. And unfortunately, 3 out of 4 of us here in the United States are severely deficient in this. So what this mineral is magnesium. Now I know you've probably heard of this mineral before, but let's talk about why this is so important. So hopefully by the end of this video, you'll know a few things. 1, what are some common signs and symptoms of magnesium deficiency? 2, the fact that not every single magnesium is the same. So there's dozens of different types of magnesiums, and it's really important that you get the right one. Some of them unfortunately have a 4% absorption rate, while others your body can actually use and are very good for your body to help you perform at your best in your day-to-day life. And then the third thing is, how do you get magnesium from the foods that you can have? So let's dive right in with that. So the first thing that is really important to note is that the reason we are so deficient in magnesium is, one of them is alcohol consumption does lower magnesium levels in the body. And so we see that if you consume alcohol on a pretty regular basis, you tend to be quite deficient in that. Certain medications can also lower your magnesium levels. So certain medications such as certain antacids or even hormonal replacement, birth control, and certain antibiotics can actually lower your magnesium levels. So it's really important to talk to your doctor if you're on any of these medications, especially for a long period of time, to see if your magnesium levels are within normal range or if they're lower and you are deficient. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, a lot of the foods that we have that contain magnesium are not very common in the American diet. And so they're, the healthy foods that most of us don't really consume on a regular basis. And so we find that we actually run out of magnesium a lot faster. And so let's talk about some of the common signs and symptoms of having low levels of magnesium. And this is one that I see quite a bit in practice. So the first thing that you'll notice is you have a lot of muscle tightness. So if you kind of poke around in different parts of your body, especially like in the upper shoulders, if it's really tight or kind of tender to the touch, that could be potentially a sign that you're deficient in magnesium. And it doesn't just affect these muscles, it affects every muscle in the body. Skeletal, smooth, and even digestive muscles. So believe it or not, you do have muscles that are on your digestive tract that help you go to the bathroom. And so that takes us to the second point. When those muscles are really tight, you may find yourself constipated and not going to having a bowel movement regularly. And this is also a very common sign of magnesium deficiency. So tight muscles, irregular bowel movements, or constipation. We see that if you're under a great deal of stress and find that it's difficult to handle that stress, it does tax your ability to use your magnesium, and so you run out of it faster. Things such as exercise will of course deplete these minerals as well, including magnesium. Another sign is something that I think most of us can also relate to, which is having low energy. So you do need magnesium to have a healthy level of energy. And so this isn't the kind of energy that you get when you drink a strong cup of coffee, but it's a holistic, natural energy. And we see that when we are deficient in magnesium, our energy levels kind of stay pretty low. They're almost in a lull. And when we have normal, optimal levels of magnesium, we see that when we wake up, we're refreshed and our energy levels are high. And then when it's time to go to bed, we sleep really well. And so that's another thing that magnesium deficiency manifests as. We see that people who have a hard time falling asleep or staying asleep tend to also be deficient in magnesium. And so those are some of the most common things that we see. Interestingly enough, this is kind of like a bonus one, and you can talk to your holistic doctor or a nutritionist about this, but this does count as a potential sign that you're deficient in magnesium. And this might blow your mind, but if you are craving chocolate on a regular basis, chances are you could be deficient in magnesium as well. And it's a craving that feels almost like biological, like instinctual. It's not just, oh, I just enjoy chocolate. This is almost like I need chocolate on a daily basis. So I actually fall into that camp. I have dark chocolate every single day. And the reason that is because dark chocolate, especially the darker you go, the cacao bean, actually is a really good source of magnesium. So you want to stay away from the milk chocolate that's filled with, processed chemicals and sugar and all that dairy and stuff like that. And you want to go more towards the darker chocolate. So something like 70% or above, you're pretty good. Consume it moderately, and that can help replenish some of the magnesium in your body. Another really good source of magnesium is pumpkin seeds. And again, in the West here, it's not something that we use on a regular basis as part of our cuisine. It's not really something that we snack with often. And so we find that that's something that we can start consuming on a regular basis that can help replenish our magnesium as well. Avocados, mixed nuts, those are excellent sources of magnesium as well. So you just have to be careful because a lot of these foods are quite high in fat. And so make sure that you're consuming a moderate amount of those, but on a regular basis. Now, if you are like most people, your deficiency is quite low. And even consuming those foods regularly, it's going to take a long time to build up the magnesium in your body that you need to function optimally, so that your sleep cycle is good and that your bones are nice and healthy and your digestion is optimized and your energy levels are stable and you're able to fall asleep and stay asleep and feel replenished when you wake up and be able to have good energy and good mood and all that stuff. And so if that's the case here, what I usually recommend is supplementing with the magnesium. Now, I'm going to go over the 6 most common forms of magnesium, and I'm going to talk about the best and the worst. So if you're, hey, I'm already taking a multivitamin, check what kind of magnesium is in that multivitamin. If you're already taking a magnesium supplement, check what form it is too. So I'm going to start off with the worst one. This is the cheapest to make, and it is the worst for your body to absorb, with a 4% absorption rate, and that is magnesium oxide. And unfortunately, because it's so easy to extract and manufacture, that's one of the most common ones that you'll find in a multivitamin. Now, if your multivitamin has this, it doesn't mean it's a bad multivitamin. It just means that you probably need to be taking another source of magnesium supplement that your body can actually begin to use. The best one is going to be magnesium glycinate. Now, this is really great because it has one of the highest bioabsorption, meaning when you take it in, your body can actually absorb it. And when it absorbs it, it can start using it and replenishing it. And so that's the one I recommend. That's the one I recommend for my patients. And that's the one that's also, I've seen firsthand, deliver the best results. Now, like anything else, especially the longer you've been deficient in magnesium, the longer it can take to build up the magnesium levels in the body. And so some people notice it right away when they take a good magnesium supplement, magnesium glycinate. Other people, it can take up to 2 to 3 weeks for them to really start noticing these effects. The brand that I recommend, it's clinical grade, produced in an FDA approved facility, it's third party tested, goes through rigorous testing and quality control to make sure that it has the proper dose, the highest quality ingredients, and it's made for a clinical grade setting, is Omniway. So if you go to omniway.me, you can actually purchase the magnesium glycinate from there, or you can go to your doctor, chiropractor, maybe hopefully soon nutritionist, and they will hopefully be carrying that brand as well. And so ideally, what dose you want to be taking is going to be anywhere between 200 to 400 milligrams a day, okay? And that's going to change based on your gender. So if you're a female, you want to take it more towards the 200 milligrams. And if you're male, you want to take it more towards the 400 milligrams. And again, that's if you're severely deficient. What I usually recommend is both males and females start off by taking 1 capsule of magnesium glycinate a day and do that for 2 to 3 weeks. And if you still don't notice any of the benefits, then you can take it up to 2 capsules a day and see how your body feels. So that's the 411 with magnesium, the miracle mineral. And like I said, because it affects every single biochemical process in the body, it's actually earned that nickname. And it's also earned it because a lot of times people get misdiagnosed with diseases and issues that could easily be remedied once they start taking their magnesium glycinate supplements. So stay away from magnesium oxide. Try to stay away from magnesium chloride and citrate. Citrate, it's not too bad. It's about a 90% absorption rate, but it's more, you have to be careful because it's mixed with the citrate acid. So you have to make sure it's organic and it's non-GMO, because a lot of magnesium citrates tend to not be organic and genetically modified, and so that citrate can actually tax the body and not be so good for you. If you're an athlete, again, magnesium glycinate is the best regardless, but you can also play around with magnesium orotate. That one tends to, for whatever reason, because of its molecular structure, affect more the muscular repair and recovery. And so it tends to go more towards that aspect and kind of like minimally affect the other systems in the body. Magnesium glycinate, on the other hand, affects everything, and so your body is able to absorb it and it distributes it based on where it needs it. So that's a really good one that I'd recommend you try out if your levels are low or if you have any of these signs and symptoms. And of course, as always, make sure to check with your doctor and healthcare provider and see where your levels are and act accordingly. So with that being said, I'll see you guys soon.